Know-it-all, thing one.
I want it all.
Jingle, jingle.
And I want it now.
Know-it-all. First thing.
Should we run that through the artificial intelligence song generator? We don't need a 4-minute song. We just need a 30-second intro.
I would love to create another jingle using AI, but the problem is I have to create an account. I don't want to give up my email address to yet another website, even if it's Suno that can write me
Not to a robot.
hot hits that slap.
You know what I learned, and I don't have enough time to beep her out, that head coach at LSU, that female of the LSU women's team, Murky, whatever her name is.
Okay.
She coached Britney Griner at Baylor, hates Britney Griner. I didn't know this, but it was never a side story with Britney Griner during her Forbidden Essence period in Russia when she was behind bars. But her former coach at Baylor, Murky, who's now at LSU, didn't like her at Baylor because Baylor's a private religious school. Didn't like her and her kind. And by kind, I don't mean tall black women. I mean tall lesbians. And so she... I mean, this is amazingly petty, and this is thing one. But I mean, we're reverse engineering the story. But when Britney Griner, when everybody in entertainment was like wearing was there a ribbon? Was there a black lesbian WNBA ribbon?
If
for
there
her?
wasn't, there should have been.
I just thought there was just way too much oxygen being expelled for her. When she was caught going back in after she was told by the U.S. State Department, don't go to Russia. But anyway, but I didn't know that her coach disapproved of her lifestyle when she was at Baylor and told her, keep it on the down low, and the whole thing. And then when she was in Russia behind bars, she never said, she was asked once, do you have any words of support for Britney Griner? And she said, next question. So that was kind of, I didn't know that. I was this morning years old. That was pretty okayest hour. That was like pre 6 a.m. on that. Well, so you got a sensational lawsuit, so-and-so versus Alaska Airlines. Class of passengers versus Alaska Airlines. Thing two, get it marketed. Get out there.
Second thing.
Get out there and say second thing and get it marketed. And that's being done all across America. And I think the guy is based in Seattle, so we might reach out. I don't know. But, I mean, put the pressure on Alaska because they want out of this lawsuit because they're still saying, hey, look, we didn't make the plane. But they're going to stay in. They're going to stay in, says one of the members of the lawsuit, Quan Trang, from Riverside, California. It was a Portland to SoCal flight. He spoke with Fox News this morning, and the hard-hitting question was, on a scale of 1 to 10, how scared were you?
It sucked your cell phone and your shoes off, is that right?
Yeah, so both my shoe and sock flew off when the plug went out, and my phone that was in my hand also.
You're saying plug, when the plug went out.
Went along with it.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how terrified were you?
All right, over under. On a scale of 1 to 10, your shoe and your sock has flown off. You're in row 27. You're one row behind the plug that blew out. So
we're trying to get lots of money out of this. So I'd say 10.5.
It's on national TV, broadcast, across the country if you're awake. So your shoe and your sock flew off. It's 10,000. It's not 50,000 feet, because then you'd be in a drone. It's not 40,000 feet. It's 10,000 feet. You're not oxygen yet. You're high over Portland, but you're not that high. But your shoe and your sock, your story is they flew off. 1 to 10, how terrified were you?
Terrified were you?
Oh, that's definitely a 10 for me, because...
There you go. What else are you going to say?
These go to 11.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, that's what I would have said, is that would be the money answer would be 11.
Your scale is too small.
Yeah.
I've been experiencing anything like that.
Yeah.
Ever in my life. So.
Oh, man, I just can't imagine. Tim, you are representing him and some other clients in suing over this. This happened at 10,000 feet. And I know you're a pilot. If this would have happened at 36,000 feet, we might not be talking to this guy right now.
It would have been it doesn't get any scarier really than what he...
And what the journalist, what Steve Ducey's not explaining, for all you, I'm sure know, that aircraft in general are pressurized for 10,000 feet because there's lower air pressure the higher you get, and the aircraft wants to come apart, but it's built really well, and the door plugs are bolted in and the whole thing. However, if an aircraft, it's like a 787, depressurized violently at 40,000 feet because they cruise at a higher altitude, it's more efficient, and they're pressurized down to 8,000 feet. So it doesn't feel like you're going through Denver or something. But if an aircraft had a disastrous depressurization like that 737 did, probably it would be a aircraft toll. It would be the end of the plane. If neither pilot had oxygen on, they would have about 8 seconds to get it on because you don't hold your breath. Okay, at 40,000 feet, you don't go. You don't. It sucks the oxygen out of your lungs. So that's why American owned airliners have that regulation that one guy has to be on the oxygen. And so that's the deal about pressurization on that one. But I should point out that if that 737 had gone down and everybody in the plane died, the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder would not have given you any clue what caused the crash, except that you'd find a door plug in some guy's front yard in Westmoreland, which is south of Portland. If that had happened at 35,000 feet, the plane may have broken up in flight, and the door plug would be just debris that was found, in Medford, and the wreckage was in Weed. Or something. So it's a weird loophole that it was in. But then again, if the air pressure differential was part of the force on that door plug, that's why, as the plane was pressurizing, it was trying to equalize with the outside door pressure. The door had already been reported by prior passengers as it has a whistle. Did you hear that? People were identifying a whistle.
Mm-mm.
I've got my earbuds in, but I'm hearing a whistle. And then you still got to feel like it's more than a coincidence that the two seats right next to that door were not occupied. That's an astounding miracle. But the teenage guy lost his shirt, and on a scale of 1 to 10, as a teenage boy, how traumatic is it for you to lose your shirt?
When the 737 MAX went down, I think there were 2 of them a few years ago, right? Overseas?
Yeah, there was the Ethiopia Air first, and then the private Indonesian airline.
Didn't Boeing pay out to the victims' beneficiaries? And I think it was only to the tune of about $500 million. Over this door plug failure at 10,000 feet. Reminder, everybody landed safely. They're suing for $1 billion.
I know, because you gotta.
It's a farce.
The bar was set. You know what I learned yesterday? A very famous incident. Imagine this. It's 1982. You're on a 747. And I mean an analog 747 with cables and stuff like that. The first generation 747, British Airlines, competent pilot. You're flying from Kuala Lumpur, Indonesia, to Perth, Australia. But a volcano has erupted, and it's shot fine volcanic ash high in the Earth's atmosphere. The 747 flies through it at 35,000 feet. All 4 engines go because it's so abrasive, right? But the miraculous total, so you can take your Sully and you can mash them up with 5 other Sullys, and they're not as hot crap as this guy. And this British pilot gave apparently the most famous address from pilot to passengers ever, where he said, "We've lost all 4 engines. I take it you're not to be too disturbed. We'll get it sorted." But anyway, with all 4 engines out, they glided down to 15,000 feet and nearly 100 miles and got them all 4 started. And when it came time to land in Jakarta, the volcanic ash had so sandblasted the cockpit window that it was opaque. It looked like frosted shower glass. But anyway, that guy just died in England. But having a discussion with a friend of mine whose dad is a Brit, and he flew for Cathay Pacific, flew the same route, and he knew the story well. And an amazing story. But I'd never heard it till yesterday. An amazing life story on the day the guy died. So there's your aviation hour, your aviation break. As always, all thing 3. That was thing 3, right?
2.5.
Oh, 2.5.